Hello and welcome to Quiz Time. I'm Jess and I'm your host today for a 70s and 80s quiz. We've got 100 questions coming up. So, are you ready? Let's go. Which African-American tennis player won 3 Grand Slam singles titles? Venus Williams, Arthur Ashe or Althea Gibson? Arthur Ashe. What is the first space station? Salyut, Skylab or Tiangong-1? Salyut. What was the old name of the mountain Denali before 1975? Mount Logan, Mount Rainier or Mount McKinley? Mount McKinley. Which disco group recorded hits like Staying Alive and Night Fever? ABBA, The Bee Gees or Earth, Wind and Fire? It's the Bee Gees. Which island is divided by Green Line 1? Cyprus, Crete or Sicily? Cyprus. Where did the Velvet Revolution take place? Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia or Poland? Czechoslovakia. True or false? Robert Peary was the first person to reach the North Pole solo without external support. It's false. What is the middle name of Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of the UK during the 1980s? Elizabeth, Hilda or Jane? Hilda. Who won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role as Gordon Gekko? Michael Keaton, Harrison Ford or Michael Douglas? Michael Douglas. What was the video game console released by Mattel in 1979? ColecoVision, the Intellivision or Sega Genesis? The Intellivision. Against whom did Muhammad Ali regain his heavyweight title in 1974? Joe Frazier, Larry Holmes or George Foreman? George Foreman. What was the name of the US military operation in 1970 to rescue American prisoners of war in North Vietnam? Operation Ivory Coast, Operation Freedom or Operation Rolling Thunder? Operation Ivory Coast. Who was the Aswan High Dam architect designer? Walter Jurica, Frank Lloyd Wright or Gamal Abdel Nasser? Walter Jurica. No multiple choice. What is the full name of the INF Treaty? The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Which of the following Ford models was introduced during the 1970s? Ford Mustang, Ford Pinto or Ford Taurus? Ford Pinto. Who played the role of Steve Austin in the sci-fi film The $6 Million Man? Lee Majors, Richard Anderson or Martin E. Brooks? Lee Majors. Who was responsible for the Jonestown Massacre? David Koresh, Charles Manson or Jim Jones? Jim Jones. True or false? MS-DOS was released before Windows 1.0. It's true. Which US president was attacked by a rabbit while fishing? Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan or George H.W. Bush? Jimmy Carter. What was Press Your Luck? A game show, a board game or a computer software? A game show. Which American sitcom featured a quirky family led by advertising executive Tony Micelli? Family Ties, Cheers or Who's the Boss? Who's the Boss? Which movie's catchphrase is "Go ahead, make my day"? Lethal Weapon, Sudden Impact or Dirty Harry? Sudden Impact. No multiple choice. What was the name of the political movement founded by Margaret Thatcher in the 1980s? Thatcherism. Where was the global campaigning network Greenpeace founded? Canada, USA or UK? Canada. Which brand of shoe did Run DMC make popular through the MV Walk This Way? Puma, Nike or Adidas? Adidas. Which war happened in the Middle East during the 1980s? Gulf War, Iran-Iraq War or Kurdish-Turkish conflict? It's the Iran-Iraq War. Who co-founded the Symbionese Liberation Army with Donald DeFreeze? Patricia Solzig, Patricia Hearst or Angela Davis? Patricia Solzig. True or false? The Nintendo Entertainment System was first referred to as Famicom before it was redesigned. That's true. What caused the 1980s toxic shock syndrome that killed over 40 women? Exposure to toxic chemicals, tampon use or toxic women's cigarettes? Tampon use. In which country was the Clean Water Act enacted in 1972? United States, United Kingdom or France? It's United States. What were the 1980s women pants with the elastic strap to fit around each foot called? Capri pants, bell bottoms or stirrup pants? Stirrup pants. Which turtle does machines in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Donatello, Leonardo or Raphael? Donatello. Which of these accessories was mostly popular during the 1980s? Feather boas, colourful leg warmers or monocles? Colourful leg warmers. It's taking me back. What is the real name of Son of Sam? David Berkowitz, John Wayne Gacy or Albert Fish? David Berkowitz. Which TV miniseries, based on the novel by Alex Haley, chronicled the history of African Americans from slavery to that time? Shogun, The Thornbirds, or Roots? Roots. When did the UK join the European Economic Community? 60s, 70s, or 80s? 70s. No multiple choices. What was the former name of hip hop? Disco rap. Who was the Prime Minister of Australia during the beginning of the 1970s? Edward Gough Whitlam, Malcolm Fraser, or John Gorton? John Gorton. Which of these bands didn't perform at the Live Aid charity concert in '85? The Rolling Stones, U2, or Queen? The Rolling Stones didn't perform. Which hotel in Las Vegas caught fire in November 1980, killing 85 people? MGM Grand, Flamingo, or Bellagio? It was MGM Grand. What was the name of the Huxtable family's eldest daughter in The Cosby Show? Denise Thibodeau, Sandra Thibodeau, or Ruby Thibodeau? It was Sandra. Who was the 39th President of the United States from 77 to 81? Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, or George H.W. Bush? Jimmy Carter. True or false? The International Space Station was launched in the 1980s. It's false. It was actually in the 1990s. Which of the following was MTV's first game show? Remote Control, Double Dare, or The Challenge? Remote Control. For how long did Michael Jackson's album Thriller stay #1 in the US Billboard? 36 weeks, 42 weeks, or 37 weeks? 37 weeks. What is the name of the pirate whose treasure the kids are trying to find in the Goonies? One-Eyed Willie, Captain Blackbeard, or Captain Hook? One-Eyed Willie. Can you finish the title of Public Enemy's album? It Takes a of to Us. It takes a nation of millions hold back. Which magazine creator was shot by a white supremacist upset by a magazine's mixed race photo layout? Hugh Hefner, Larry Flynt, or Jan Wenner? Larry Flynt. Which of these computer terms started in the 1970s? Ethernet, bit, or floppy disk drive? Ethernet. Which of these Disney films was released in the 1980s? Peter Pan, The Lion King, or The Little Mermaid? The Little Mermaid. Halfway there, how are you doing? Which process of socio-political change led to the opening of East Germany's border with the West? Cultural Revolution, Peaceful Revolution, or October Revolution? It was the Peaceful Revolution. Who first performed the classic song White Wedding? Billy Idol, David Bowie or Billy Joel? Billy Idol. Which two countries had a war about regions of the Falkland Islands, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, Spain and Chile, Argentina and Brazil or Argentina and UK? Argentina and the UK. Which of these acts have been effective in the US since the 1970s? Agricultural Adjustment Act, Endangered Species Act or Bayh-Dole Act? Endangered Species Act. Who sang We Are the World? Kane, Michael Jackson or USA for Africa? USA for Africa. How many seasons did Knight Rider have? 4, 5 or 6? Did you watch it? 4. Michael Knight was around for 4 series. True or false? In July 1975, the American Apollo and the Soviet Soyuz spacecraft docked successfully. True. What political scandal in the United States led to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974? Monica Lewinsky scandal, Watergate scandal, or Teapot Dome scandal? The Watergate scandal. Who shot himself accidentally while filming an episode of Cover Up in 1984? Richard Dean Anderson, John Eric Hexum or Mark Harmon? John Eric Hexum. Which fitness program created by Richard Simmons was popular in the 1980s? Step aerobics, Sweating to the Oldies or Jazzercise? Sweating to the Oldies. Where did the first outbreak of Legionnaire's disease happen? New York City, Los Angeles or Philadelphia? Philadelphia. Who wrote the novel The Exorcist? William Peter Blatty, Stephen King or Dean Koontz? William Peter Blatty. Which of these video games was created by Namco? Super Mario, Pac-Man or Donkey Kong? Pac-Man. No multiple choice. Which movie directed by Steven Spielberg was released in 1975 and known for its terrifying great white shark? Jaws. Which of these colours is not among the ones in the original Rubik's Cube from 1974? Pink, blue or orange? No pink in that one. On which network did the sitcom Cheers premiere? ABC, NBC or CBS? NBC. Who co-founded Apple Inc. in a garage with Steve Jobs and Ronald Wayne in '76? Pierre Omidyar, Jeff Bezos or Steve Wozniak? Steve Wozniak. True or false? Eugene Cernan was the only person to fly solo in space during the Apollo 17 mission. False. It was actually Ronald E. Evans. How many days did Iran keep the 52 Americans as hostages? 444 days, 365 days, or 183 days? 444 days. Which iconic sci-fi movie directed by George Lucas was released in 1977? Star Trek, Star Wars, or Blade Runner? Star Wars. Which American football team had a rap song named the Super Bowl Shuffle? New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, or Chicago Bears? Chicago Bears. Which American space shuttle exploded seconds after liftoff? Columbia, Discovery, or Challenger? It was Challenger. I remember watching, do you? How many gold medals did the Soviet Union win at the 1976 Innsbruck Olympics? 7, 13, or 11? 13. Who was appointed Secretary General of the United Nations in 1972? Kurt Waldheim, Dag Hammarskjöld, or Hugh Thant? Kurt Waldheim. The movie Die Hard was based on which 1979 novel? The Bourne Identity, Nothing Lasts Forever, or Die Hard? It was Nothing Lasts Forever. What major sporting event did Australia host in 1982? Commonwealth Games, FIFA World Cup, or Summer Olympics? Commonwealth Games. Who sang Off the Wall? Prince, David Bowie, or Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson. True or false? Bruce Lee, Pablo Picasso, and Tolkien all passed away during the 1970s. It's true. What does the 1980s slang term rad mean? Cool or excellent, confused or disorientated, or outdated or old-fashioned? Cool or excellent. Were you rad in the 1980s? What dessert is often used as a base for Bombay, Alaska? Sponge cake, brownies, or cheesecake? Sponge cake. Who played the titular role in 1984 science fiction film The Terminator? Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Harrison Ford? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Which of these bands was caught on an aircraft crash on October the 20th, 1977? Led Zeppelin, The Eagles, or Lynyrd Skynyrd? Lynyrd Skynyrd. Which US amendment was ratified lowering the voting age to 18? 19th Amendment, 26th Amendment, or 21st Amendment? The 26th Amendment. Who was the punk rock band that released their self-titled debut album in '77? The Clash, the Ramones, or the Stooges? The Clash. Who visited China for the first time as US President? Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, or Ronald Reagan? Richard Nixon. Which American track and field athlete won 4 gold medals at the 1984 Olympics? Carl Lewis, Jesse Owens, or Usain Bolt? Carl Lewis. In which year did the Berlin Wall fall? Of course, 1989. Which of these movies was written by Dan O'Bannon? The Terminator, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, or Alien? Alien. What illness was first recognised in 1981? Lyme disease, AIDS, or Ebola? It was AIDS. Who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1970? Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, or Milan Kundera? Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Which band had the lead vocalist as Robert Anthony Plant? Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, or AC/DC? It was Led Zeppelin. How many men held the office of President of the USA during the 1970s? 1, 2, or 3? It was 3. True or false? In 1981, AIDS was named GRID in the beginning for the first cases. It's true. What was a handheld electronic game in the 1970s featuring a LED display and a football theme? Game Boy, Mattel Electronic Football, or Colco Head-to-Head? Mattel Electronic Football. Which American actress was nicknamed Hanoi Jane after her visit to the Democratic Republic of Vietnam? Jane Seymour, Jane Krakowski, or Jane Fonda? Jane Fonda. Ceylon was the former name of which current country? Myanmar, Sri Lanka, or Thailand? It was Sri Lanka. Which company introduced the My Little Pony toy in 1981? Hasbro, Mattel, or Parker Brothers? Did you have those? Hasbro. I loved my Applejack. What famous royal wedding took place in 1981? Certainly one you Brits should know. What about everybody else? It was Prince Charles and Lady Diana. Which former American labor union leader disappeared in 1975 without a trace? Cesar Chavez, Jimmy Hoffa, or Walter Reuther? Jimmy Hoffa. And your last one. Which Australian actor starred as Mad Max in the film of the same name? Mel Gibson, Russell Crowe, or Chris Hemsworth? Mel Gibson. So, how did you do on the 70s and 80s? Was that your era? Drop your score in the comments below, and of course like and subscribe so you get notified every time we post a new quiz. And please join us next time on Quiz Time.